Welcome back to Lightning Talks with Technical Leaders. I'm your host, Paul, as you know, and this is episode 8. So today we have another fantastic guest joining us who has been at the forefront of innovation, both in the fintech and the retail tech spaces. He's a seasoned technical leader with a deep understanding of scaling businesses and building cutting-edge products. We're incredibly excited to pick his brain today. So joining me in the studio is Andreas. Andreas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me the chance to share a bit of my past experience and my life.
No problem at all. I mean, your career journey is incredibly impressive, marked by a number of significant contributions to some truly transformative companies. So before we dive into the lightning talk, I'd like to give our listeners a little glimpse into your background and the impact that you've had. So for those who don't know, Andreas has played a pivotal role in companies like SumUp, NewStore and Pepperbill. SumUp, where Andreas worked as a VP of engineering for global expansion. For those who probably don't know, SumUp is a global powerhouse in the fintech world. The company absolutely revolutionized how small and medium-sized businesses process payments globally, making it incredibly easy and affordable for millions of merchants to accept card payments. Prior to that, Andreas worked at NewStore, again as a VP of engineering. NewStore is a leader in retail technology. NewStore is all about enabling global brands to create seamless and unified shopping experiences, kind of blurring the lines between online and in-store. They're really at the cutting edge of helping major brands adapt and thrive in today's rapidly evolving retail landscape. And before that, Andreas was the CTO of Pepperbill, which is a mobile point of sale software provider specifically for the restaurant industry. They're really at the cutting edge of a lot of operations for hospitality businesses, pioneering mobile solutions and orders and billing. So, Andreas, looking at these experiences, it's clear that you've been deeply involved in building and scaling products that directly empower businesses to drive significant industry change. So we're really looking forward to hearing your insights today. So are you ready for the lightning talk?
I am, absolutely.
So look, I've given our listeners a glimpse, but it would be great to learn a bit more about your unique career path and how you kind of became a leader in technology.
Yeah, so let me share a bit. I mean, maybe part of my journey was that I was already at a certain age, beginning my career path as the CTO for Pepperbill at this time. So it feels like there was a life before IT, and there was for sure, where I was getting experience from a different area. But I could bring some of those what I learned into this new world. I mean, I was co-founder at Pepperbill, so not only building the product from the technology perspective, but also building the team, building the company, having everything in mind. And I mean, this was basically right out of the university after I finished my job as a student worker in the university. So we had this great idea of, hey, let's order from our mobiles. I mean, this was the time we talk about iPhone 2, I guess. So it was pretty early stage, and we had this amazing idea of, hey, wouldn't it be cool to sit in a restaurant and to be able to order yourself? And then we figure out, oh, but there's a lot of proprietary devices. How can we get the order from our mobile into this point of sale a device from the gastronomy? And therefore we start to build from another angle and started the point of sale business on mobiles, basically on iPod Touch. This was during that time the cheapest device you can get a mobile device, which was not a phone. It was affordable. You could replace all these traditional devices, order man, or I don't know how the other devices have been called. It's been a while. So therefore, we did one thing. We not only put a POS on a mobile, we adapted in a way so that you can use the device in a matter how you would use your mobile as well. So one feedback we got from a decent user or from one of a restaurant owner, he said like, those waiters today, they are not able to do anything. They are not able to calculate, but they can use their mobile. And therefore they can use Pepperbill because it's so easy, it's so intuitive. And I mean, UX, UI was always on our mind. And I think it's a key point if you want to create a product that is able to scale and that attracts people in order to use it. And I think this is also key of the Pepperbill story that we had such a unique UX where people were easy able to use it. As we have been out of the university, for sure, we had to use the newest technology. So MongoDB was, I mean, you also used existing, so like Ruby and Rails was for our backend, but and also Objective-C for the mobile. But we used, for example, MongoDB. At this time, MongoDB was not even stable, so it was really early stage. But we said like, okay, we don't need a relational-based database. Just go with non-relational because it worked better for our concept. And we did a lot of issues and had problems and created data models. They were completely off, so we had to learn. But we had a great connection with the people from MongoDB. They helped us overcome those issues. And this was already one of the learning. Get it out, really throw it on the customer so that the customer can create issues, problems you would never experienced in an isolated test world. But also testing was not such a thing at this time. So we had to rewrite the entire application pretty soon because testing was not so much involved, and it was difficult to create new functionality. But with a new application, worked fine. Yeah, from Pepperbill. What do you had the question?
I was going to say, what was it like? I mean, obviously stepping out of university, becoming an entrepreneur straight away. I mean, what was that like for you?
Well, it was like not being able to swim, but being thrown into cold,
Yeah.
icy water. Because I mean, you really have to learn how to prioritize because there are so many things you can do, but there are only so limited things you can do because the day has 24 hours. The team was small. We have been in the beginning, we have been 5 people. For sure, we scaled over time, so we then had also more engineering power and more sales power. But in the beginning, you really have to focus on what do you want to achieve, and you always have to keep your vision in mind. I mean, I told you in the beginning to order. If you are in the restaurant, somebody should be able to order from his mobile. This was basically our long-term vision, and this was basically what we worked towards to. But there were so many obstacles and challenges we had to overcome to build a point of sale first, because nobody of us was knowledgeable in point of sale software and in the regulations and calculating tax the right way. What do you need to know about tax? Storing data. And by the way, we built, this was also one of the cool things in the beginning, because we built from the first day on in the cloud. So we used a database, MongoDB in the cloud, hosted in Ireland during that time. And I can remember the first trade fair we went to show it, or the first exhibition where we proudly showed our product. Most of the people, gastronomy is very traditional. They like to have everything in house. I don't trust anybody. I don't want to have anybody my data. And it was completely, so everybody was laughing, not everybody, but most people were laughing at us. This will never become a story or something. But funnily, 1 year later, and we had already during this time, we had our first customer, a little coffee stoof. I have no idea, it's a little coffee restaurant at the Northern Sea. And I remember the owner, they stole his point of sale. So everything was gone, all the data. So in Germany, we have this financial institution. They want to know all the details, how many coffee you sold, etc. But his data were completely gone. No, nothing he could do about. And then he said like, oh, but you are doing cloud. This means whenever somebody is stealing my device, the data is still here. We said, yeah, sure, that's the point of cloud. So, and he was, yeah, it's so great. I will become your first customer. So he was really the customer from the early hour and
Nice.
from the earliest stage until the end. Yeah, this was somehow the overall story about Pepperbill and
Steep
the
learning
time
curve.
there. I mean, another fact for sure, as founder, you have to take care about the financials. So you have to make sure that the company is earning money. But with this scale, we had to make sure to secure VCs. So we were basically pitching also. So my founder, my co-founder Marcel and myself, we were pitching. I have no idea how many times to different institutions and just to get the chance to be able. And in the end, we managed to get a good funding with Ferry Fabian Heilemann during that time. Both they are known for Daily Deal, and they said like, we believe in this thing in point of sale, and we want to use
Nice.
it. So this was cool. Yeah, in the end, then there was another funding round, and the question, should we go into global scale, because we were focusing only on the DACH market, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. But then we decided, yeah, global will become a challenge because somebody would need to go to the US. And then as founder, you don't know exactly. But we got a chance to jump into NewStore because Stefan Schambach, the previous founder of Intershop and Demandware, he got interested in what we do. So he saw our product and he said like, wow, that's really great. It feels so seamless. I can just use it. This is how I believe software should be built. What do you think if you and your team join my next venture? I have no idea what the name of this venture will be and how this thing will look like, but I'm curious. I would like to have you on my team. So therefore, we moved basically from Pepperbill to NewStore, took everything with us and became part of NewStore in the end. And with our knowledge how to build great mobile applications, they are easily usable. We have been easily able to help building NewStore from scratch. The idea is really to create an omni-channel experience, basically that you can buy through multiple channels, that you can give it back. So all the processes you have should be applicable within one application, ideally. So if you go to a store assistant in New York and he is telling you, oh, but I don't have your size, but I see in store B, two streets away, there's your size available. I can reserve it for you, or I can ship it from there. So at this time, this was also nothing you could imagine at a bigger scale. And to combine the ERP system, the point of sale system, the logistics within one platform, and to build one layer on top, which was basically NewStore. This was what we built right from the beginning. Also at this time, we thought like, yeah, if you build a new company, let's do microservices. Microservices was a topic discussed at this time, but not heavily used in other companies. So we did also all the pitfalls you can do with microservices, not having a proper data model and being like, yeah, if you do microservices, you can do whatever you want. You can't, I can tell you. So therefore, we learned the hard way that that there's more to it. Also, we use RabbitMQ, the queuing system, in order to communicate between the services. I think at this time it was also not stable, so we were like, okay, we're going to production with a not official stable product. And then over time we also had to change to gRPC, and doing some transformations there. I mean, if you build a company like NewStore, it was a different scale, because Pepperbill was just one team. In the end, the engineering team was roughly 10, 15 people. Pepperbill was a different scale. We had out of the sudden 60 engineers,
Wow.
and still growing. Or I think in the beginning it was not 60, maybe 40, but still, I mean, a team of this size. And then to make sure, because we had also 4 different locations. It was Erfurt, Hanover, because there was another company which was acquired, Berlin, and Boston. So we had 3 different locations where we had engineers, and the challenge was to build one coherent engineering culture. Quite interesting. We picked a nice event where we put all the engineers, product managers with topics they need, the topics they want to work on, and then we did a self-selection experiment where we just gave the topics and we only set some constraints, and then teams were formed naturally out of this one. So it was kind of cool. And in the end, we only said it needs to be at least one engineer from each location. It shouldn't be more than 3 locations in one team. You need to have all the engineers you need in order to build what you want to build. So yeah, it was quite an interesting one, and we did it throughout my NewStore time 2 times, because company was evolving or the team was evolving. But this was kind of cool. Yeah. And then in the end, after NewStore, I decided to go to SumUp, in case we have some time, if I talk about this one as well. I know we have some questions. And within SumUp, it was, for me, it was a bit more like a scale down, but also a scale up, because for sure, as I started within SumUp, global expansion was not so big. So we had, the team was maybe 15, 20 people, and a small, including a small team in the US. And then I started to scale the team, hiring engineers in Chile, build a team in Chile, increasing the amount of engineers in the US as well. And the biggest challenge in SumUp was more an organizational one, because SumUp works with tribes. So they adapted the Spotify model for tribes. And every tribe was completely autonomous. But if you are global expansion and you want to bring all the products into new markets, you have to understand basically 10 tribes in order to achieve, or to make all the adjustments, or to because it's not only easily a configuration. Sometimes for a new country, there are new regulations, there are other things you have to take care of, and then it's getting more difficult to adapt the product in a way. And usually we use, and I have them still here, the good one, the Air, but also 3G. We have Solo, all those, and even our new own devices. It was always fun to work with the other team. Sometimes it was not so fun. Okay, I can imagine. I can expose this one, because sometimes for them they have different priorities and want to work on something different. So then it's on our team in order to figure out how to make the changes that enable us to go to new markets. And as always, you want to, especially in this fintech market, you want to build a reliable product. I mean, I can remember the time where we had an issue with our provider in Chile, which was during that time, I think, Transbank. This was the government-owned bank, and the only way to process payments in Chile. And there was just an issue for 2 hours or so, and then we were calculating the revenue loss. It was incredible. So that's something you ideally don't want to have. I know we at SumUp, we constantly have those hiccups here and there where parts of the system are broken and then payments are not working properly. But yeah, that's also part of the thing. But ideally, you want to avoid those issues. Yeah. So
Sure.
that's in short. I mean, I can tell most probably about another hour just around those, but
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, you definitely had a fantastic journey, and obviously, if we look into the management side of things or leadership, right? So you've been responsible for small and large teams of engineers. So what's your kind of approach to leadership and team management?
I mean, there's one thing that my leadership, how I lead my team, but also how to build teams.
Mm,
And from my experience, there's a great book from Kim Scott, Radical Candor. And this is where you can learn how to, it's more like a bit of an assessment on where is everybody individually. And she's writing about rock stars and superstars, and what the distinction between rock star and a superstar. The rock star, think about the dad, 2 kids at home, not the ambition to become the next leader, but rock solid work every day, really the rock star. And then there are the superstars, the young generation. They want to experience, they want to use new technology, they want to play around, they make mistakes, um, but they are really pushing the boundaries. And I think if you combine a team and you achieve to find the right mixture of individuals, so ideally some senior, some mid, some junior engineers, but also the right leadership team, an engineering manager who is responsible for the engineering part, and a product manager who is really focusing on product, but ideally those two are working together. So the product manager understands tech and the EM also understands what business means. I think that's the best approach to find the right mixture. How to make them work from individuals to work as a team. That's the most challenging piece, because nobody in school learns how to work as a team together and
mm,
what does it mean to work as a team. And therefore, I'm a strong believer in mob programming. Mob programming seems, from a leadership perspective, if you look into 5 people sitting in one room, staring at one screen, doing the same thing, completely counterintuitive.
mm,
But I can tell you from my experience, and not only from SumUp, but the recent one in SumUp was there was one team where we had a lot of attrition. So people were coming and leaving because it was really not the super interesting work to make those changes, to create a new acquirer integration. Um, but with the approach of mob programming, we were able to, so the learning curve for new engineers was really steep. So everybody who was joining the team at least 2 weeks, 1 month in, was able to understand what is going on and make changes on his own. And so therefore we could keep the knowledge, we could distribute the knowledge between all the people in the team. So this is where I believe pair programming and mob programming are the best tools in order to have the powerful and the strongest teams. Even if it feels counterintuitive, because you think like, yeah, but if you have 2 people working on the same thing, does it really make sense?
mm.
Yes, because if you have 2 minds working together, there's even a third mind out of those 2, but the 2 are individually there. So you have 3 minds working together. It's yeah, and this is my belief, and this is what I learned over time. My approach to leadership, for sure. Not sure if you know David Marquet, the submarine captain. He wrote 2 nice books, Turn the Ship Around and Leadership is Language. Highly recommended. And it's about how you communicate as a leader.
Yeah.
I might sound now like I communicate a lot, but it's only because I try to explain. But if I'm working as leader, I try to speak less in order to make room for the people and I try to give less guidance by telling you have to do this like this, more like asking questions. So, but to create a space, if you ask the question, that people don't feel exposed to something, that they can really answer, and then might figure out, oh, maybe it's a stupid idea, or I might figure out, oh, my idea was maybe stupid, and the idea of my employee was much better. So I think that's key for good leadership. And this is also what I always try to teach my employees I work with, because they are leading the team, so therefore they should use a similar approach. So collaboration. Um, Never make an ass out of you and me. Assume. I like it because it's so. I mean, what we do all the time, we assume a lot, and we should inquire more and really ask about the details. Yeah, then for sure. I think one-on-ones with your people, ideally once a week. Even if the people think that, yeah, do we really need a one-on-one every week? And it's so funny because most people, they joined my team and they were like, but do we need to talk one-on-one every week for 30 minutes? And those were the ones speaking then an hour. um, and discussing, and oh, what do you think about this? And then you can also share. So yeah, I think this is for leadership and team management, and to build high performing team. That's definitely key.
Definitely. And I think, on the flip side of that, I mean, like you said, you jumped into leadership really early on, right? And with Pepperbill and everything else. So what were some of the things that you kind of learned along the way that you were like, nah, that's definitely not what to do?
Oh, there are plenty of. Yeah. There's one thing. If you are too nice, it's not good. But if you are not nice, it's also not good. So
Yeah.
it's really to find the right balance, that people are not afraid to speak with you, but that they also accept you as a leader and know, okay, maybe I should listen to this one, because if he is saying it if he's giving me this in this way, then I'm supposed to do it. So that's the right. Another one is really the different cultures. I mean, I worked since NewStore. I worked in multicultural company environment, and this is always interesting because, especially if you have people from Russia, they are usually perceived a bit more tough, or Eastern Europe, they are a bit more tough. Then you have the Americans or the Latin Americans. They like to talk. I mean, I'm just simplifying here, but you can see over time those behaviors here and there. And if it creates, and here and there it creates issue because people are not super sensitive, or they don't know about the differences, or India, Asia, that's a complete different one. And this is where I had a lot of pitfalls, where I was, for example, not acting fast enough, and not jumping in directly to solve a problem, because from a European, or from my perspective, I thought like, yeah, that's something we can talk about and where we can build over time. But then it was already exploding. It was like, damn, this was way too late. I should have reacted much quicker. This is definitely one of my biggest learning, to not wait too long, but also to give a bit of time, because some things you can't solve yourself. You need to give the team the chance in order to solve some of the challenges. And don't be afraid to fire people. That's one of the biggest advice I can give, because if you wait, the longer you wait, the more it's ruin the team morale, and yeah, this can cause more damage than if you just fire somebody. So even for the or even if you have to pay money for this one.
Yeah, it's amazing how much letting someone go can really change the morale in the team. You really, if you do spot someone who's not quite a good fit, or a bit toxic to the environment, and you make the call, and it's refreshing to see how much it changes, right? I mean, I learned that as well. I mean, probably firing someone too late was one of my downfalls. But when you see the change, you're like, ah, damn, I should have done that a lot earlier. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I guess if we concentrate on that topic for a minute, I mean, you talked about building high-performing engineering cultures and having teams. So obviously to get those people on board, obviously you have to do recruitment, which is where we come in, of course. But what is your approach to recruitment, Andreas? I mean, there's a lot of talk about coding challenges and long interview processes and everything else nowadays. But what's your specific approach to recruitment and how it should be done?
Yeah, I don't think there's the silver bullet which fix everything. I'm I'm not such a fan of coding challenge for take home tests. Let's start even earlier. Before you hire, you should know why. So what's the purpose? Or whom do you would like to hire for what? And you should have the time because everything else is such a waste of time. I mean, I know if you start, for example, if I would start to talk with you, hey, Paul, I need a mobile engineer, and then I don't have time to reply to your emails, then
Mm,
it's a waste of your time, but also my time because, yeah, you want to know what is really the best description of a candidate. So what are the things I want to have? So therefore, the more I know what I want, the better I can describe it to you. And then for sure, I believe we did some home tests as well in NewStore. I was not a huge fan, but we combine it usually with so we gave the people an at home test, and then they brought the results in order to have an architecture discussion in-house. So and the combination of both makes it good because you can prove if the candidate was able to write the code on its own, or if
mm,
it was done by somebody else. So by having the discussion about, um, and then I think it's always a challenge to make the call in the end. So therefore, I love to have um, a couple of team members involved in the process. And I know that our process was kind of lengthy. I think we had 5 interviews in total, which is already a lot.
mm.
But in the end, just especially if you have a lot of candidates in the pipeline, it's also a burden for the team. That's something you shouldn't forget about it. But in the end, we always came up with the best candidates in the end, and therefore we in the beginning had 2 free candidates, and then we did a debrief together with the recruiter, so that the recruiter also learns like what works, what was not so good, why was it not so good, what should be different. And I think you should do it like incremental software development. So really get together quite soon, even if there was only one candidate giving feedback. In SumUp, we have the rule of 24 hours for giving written feedback for an interview, because otherwise the recruiting process will become endless. So therefore, the goal is and looking at the numbers. So this is my approach of hiring. And to be honest, trust your gut. This is the I think this is one of the biggest things. I'm not sure if it would be different because I always trust my gut. Maybe I should do next time the statistical or something. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe measure the ones that you trusted on your gut compared to the ones you didn't and see
Yeah.
what the results were. All right, cool. But that's interesting though, because I think there's a lot of talk about AI at the moment in interview processes with take-home tasks that it's not done really by the engineer, and being able to bring them in and do the architectural discussion then really solidifies the fact that they actually know what they're talking about, right? So that
Yeah.
that definitely helps. I'm interested. I mean, obviously, over a 5-step process that you mentioned. Did you have a lot of dropout from that? Did you lose a lot of probably good candidates? Did you feel?
Depends. So, I mean, as I said, we have those 5 interviews, but the last one is the executive. So it's really like the tribe lead giving a last check, and we have another one called bar raiser. Is this person really raising the bar at the company or not? But all the others before, we had dropouts because I mean, not big. Or you mean dropouts from the candidate side, or that we?
Yeah, from the candidate side, like saying, "Oh, no, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing 5 interviews?"
No, because we always prepare the candidates. This is our process. So there's a little document we send every
Before,
candidate,
yeah.
and then you can see, or the candidate can see, this is the process. This is what I expect. This is what I can expect within each interview, and therefore there was. I don't think we had have much dropouts throughout the process. So it's the other way around, that if we figure out in the second or third interview already, maybe it's not the right fit, then we stop the process already early. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I touched on AI quickly in terms of, an interview process and coding challenges, but obviously there's in technology, as you know, things change from minute to minute. So what do you think are some of the latest technology trends that you see impacting the industry, and how do you kind of leverage those things as a technical leader?
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely AI.
Mm,
And I mean, AI is basically everywhere. Why? Because nowadays you can create something with the AI, which can run as an application. It maybe in the back end it's not well tested, it's not well code written or whatever, but it works somehow. Everybody can do this. But to use or so for especially for engineers nowadays, there's almost no necessity to write code on your own if you know
mm,
how to prompt properly or to give the right guidance. The only challenge is if you don't know exactly what you are doing, and if you don't have the experience, if you don't know how good code looks like, if you don't know how to use AI in order to make those things, that's the
mm,
biggest challenge. And I think this is where I see our senior engineers are having a great time because they know exactly what to do. And even the mid-level engineers are learning how to give the guidance and direction. Um, the challenge is also the laziness of people. I think people are by nature not super. I mean, a bit of lazy. Let's say it like this. So if there's something which is telling you, oh, your code doesn't look nice, maybe you can correct it here, there, and there, and you don't give so much about it, and you just accept all the changes made by AI, and then you end up with much more insufficient code or not well tested or something like this. Um,
mm,
we use an observation tool for our code, and I recently had a conversation with them. Oh, it was not recently, was the beginning of the year, where they shared some insights, and they said like, yeah, we expected that companies that use GitHub Copilot, that the code quality increase, but it's the other way around. The code quality dropped, and they had. I'm not sure if they found out now why it's like this, but they said
mm,
basically too many engineers just accept the changes, and therefore the code quality becomes a bit messy. So I think that's AI it's an interesting tool. It's a great tool. It will help to be much quicker, much faster. But we really have to look into the details, what's been done there and how is it done in order to ensure quality. And this is
mm,
I think engineering might shift in a way that you have to understand the fundamentals. So basically, if you studied computer science, then you know about what is the foundation, and then you can apply it. If you never learned about the foundation, then you might have to learn about the foundation first in order to guide the AI in the right way. But on the other side, what do I know? Maybe in 6 months we are not talking about these issues anymore, because AI became so smart that they even write better code than us. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think software engineering as a profession is realistically under threat from AI?
Ooh. I'm not God. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's so unpredictable. I mean, I think there's this tipping point, because AI learns always from texts, from content which was created somewhere. And if all the content is absorbed, I mean, this might take a bit, but then who is creating the content in order for AI to learn? So therefore, I think the tech or the software engineer will continue, but the software engineer might need to think in future also more about the product side, so it becomes more like a product engineer. So really to think about the product itself, how to market it as well. So this might become part of the engineering craft in future as well. Yeah, but as I said, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to predict, right? I mean, I had an interesting conversation with someone else the other week who said in 5 years I'd be surprised if there's any junior software engineers left. Were his words. So who knows? But yeah,
and this is where what I'm also the problem is you can only become a senior software engineer if you start as junior.
Yeah.
So how do you become? And I don't know. I don't know how to solve this this challenge. But yeah, I think he's right by saying that there will be no junior software engineers maybe in 4 years or 3 years already.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Scary times. So obviously you went through a journey, into leadership, but for anyone who is listening, who might be a software engineer currently, or maybe even an engineering leader or a new engineering leader, what kind of career advice do you think you would offer to anyone who's aspiring to move up the ranks into becoming a VP or a CTO?
I think learn fast, fail fast, empower your team, and accept that your team will be smarter in terms of technology than you. Because if you start to become the leader, you have to also make sure to ensure other parts, not only the tech part. Use the opportunity to learn from your team. I mean, this is well described in the book "Turn the Ship Around" from the submarine captain. Really not to be afraid to ask your team questions. They will answer you if you have a good relationship. You can really learn from them, and then use your experience from the past with the new things you learned. This is how you become the best and the greatest leader, I guess. And for sure, try to read about new technologies, try them out. And if you hire those superstars I mentioned earlier, they will tell you about the hottest new technology stuff which is out there. You will learn much faster from those individuals than you read it somewhere in the news or in somewhere else. That's at least most of my experience. I think it's true for at least 90% of new technologies, where I heard from my superstars in terms of the entire team. I said, yeah, we should do this and that. And it's like, okay, let me first read about this. This is, yeah, it's like, that's amazing. And then, yeah, I think that's the most, the critical things that I would recommend to become an inspiring tech lead.
Ultimately, it all comes down to good old communication most of the time, it seems. You spoke earlier about some of the the lessons that you learned along the way as a leader, especially with diverse teams. Were there any other areas in your career, when working as a leader, that you made some notable mistakes, and how you kind of learn from them, from either a leadership or a technical point of view?
You mean deleting the production database? I don't think I deleted the production database, but at Pepperbill, we because the team was so small, we had 3 people being able to access the production database, and we did even changes in the production database and to correct some stuff. And this is something I would highly recommend not to do. Really separate staging, or however you call it, from production. But don't be afraid of making mistakes. I mean, life will go on. You will figure out a way. It might cost you time you don't plan for. But don't be afraid of breaking things, because if you do nothing and you just sit around, nothing will happen. So, but that's part of life. You want to have something going. You want to learn and to experience and to grow. Yeah, I think that's an important thing. Don't be afraid to break something.
Yeah, definitely. I think procrastination is a killer, right? I think I've read before, if you've got an idea, ship it, get it out, get it done, see what happens.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
quite interesting because last year we visited Asia, and you have lots of applications there. And in Asia, it's not a thing. I mean, there are those platforms where they really ship new functionalities every now and then, and sometimes they break and they don't work. And users in Asia, they are much more used to, oh, that's not working. Okay, I will try. I will come back next day. Maybe then it works. So, but here in Europe, it's more like if it's broken, then people will complain
yeah.
about it. So there's also a different mindset, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cool. Well, look, I think that wraps things up really, really nicely, Andreas. I think we've learned a lot from you and your career and the things that you've learned along the way, which has been really inspiring. But outside of all the work stuff, Andreas, just so our listeners can know a bit more about you, what do you do for fun? What do you do in your spare time when you're not leading engineering teams?
Oh, I'm afraid to tell you, but I'm an owner of a huge excavator, so 15 tons. And
Oh,
sometimes if I don't like to think too much, I mean, it's more like working with the joysticks of this tool, to make and to create something by real, so something you can see. And the other one, I will get a puppy in a couple of weeks, and I will let you know which is more difficult, training a puppy or building great performing engineering teams.
I think Puppy probably is going to tip it somehow.
Yeah.
What out of interest, what made you buy an excavator? I mean, that's not, the thing that typically is sitting on your driveway, right, in most people's houses.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, he is basically an engineer for a hardware engineer for those type of machines, and we bought it together. So therefore, yeah, we also have a small project with some land where we needed this excavator, and then we said, like, yeah, let's buy one and see what else we can do with this one. So yeah, and to be honest, I mean, it's also part of an investment. It's not scaling much, but if you buy this thing and it's just parked somewhere, it will not lose any value. It's an interesting asset.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you, Andreas, if I know you've got an excavator hanging around the corner.
I mean, this will take me ages to come to you and find you
Yeah.
in Greater London, so don't worry.
I'm safe then. I'm safe. Okay. Cool. Well,
100%.
look, thanks again, Andreas, for joining us on this episode. It was great to chat with you. And for anyone listening, obviously, if you enjoyed this episode, then please comment, like, or follow us on the channels of YouTube and Spotify. But for now, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.